Barza against Michelle Waterson. That's a change in the guard, isn't it?
I was just about to say that as well. That's another good one as well, because she's always kind of in and around that area where she could be a contender.
For real.
Not quite, but almost there. But then Esparza's, she's not quite good enough to get back to a title shot, but she's a great litmus test for all of the other fighters coming up. I've just, because we've got this strawweight title documentary coming out on the channel soon, which me and the Raptors have been working on. So
okay.
I went back and watched a lot of those old fights, and I'll be honest, like that first fight that she had against Rose in the Tough 20 finale, like Rose beat her in that first round. Like was doing exactly what, see what's funny as well about watching it because that's an interesting division, given the fact that it's a newer division, and there are a few people that are all in the same weight class still that are still fighting each other.
Yes.
But like the pool's still moving around, and the people that have fought and been unsuccessful are learning and adapting and coming back better. Completely. And that seems to be the cycle that we're in at the moment of this division, which is cool. But they're also learning from each other. So like Joanna watched the way that Rose was beating Andrade in the first few minutes of that, in the first round of that fight, and did the same thing, replicated it over 5 rounds.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like you can see the same, like the things that Rose was doing well against Esparza in the first round of that fight, Joanna took to the extreme when she fought Esparza.
Yeah.
Like they're all learning from each other, which I think is interesting to see. And I've not really noticed it until I started looking at the division picture.
It does kind of feel like before, it was almost like a cruel trick that the UFC did the Ultimate Fighter for that weight class of ladies. That it was a good season. It was a really good season when Rose fought Esparza. But the thing is, it was like they had Joanna locked away in a secret dungeon. It was like she was a fucking Polish experiment, because when they were like, yeah, look, here you go, that's the new champion, well done, Carla, and she was super happy about it, had that custom one-piece made, went out buying makeup and other shit on the embedded, she's the champ. And then they sort of unleashed Joanna into the division, and it just went absolutely fucking bonkers. But the gap between Joanna and the division for so long was absolutely massive, wasn't it? So what you're saying now is they're all learning from that, that's kind of even more impressive, that you take it, because you can only learn from seeing or from knowing it's a possibility, if that makes sense. Like, who the fuck would have thought you could backflip a BMX 6 times? You can, but it's fucking hard.
Yeah. And it's like, because there's like the strawweight division was dropped in what, 2014?
What, Rose?
Yeah, December. Was it 2000? I think, hang on, I've got the script on my...
Yeah, let me get it here, one sec.
But basically the point 2014. But the first fight in the strawweight division was in July, and the finale was in December. The fights that happened in the strawweight division in July was Gadea against Tina Latamaki, I think, and Joanna against Juliana Lima.
Okay.
So when Esparza fought Rose in the main event of the finale to win the title, that was on the Friday night. The next day, Joanna was fighting Gadea for the #1 contender spot.
Oh, shit.
So literally, as soon as Esparza got the belt around her waist, she was at the UFC the next day waiting to find out who #1 contender was, which turned out to be Joanna. That's why Esparza was only champ for 90-odd days.
But it was almost like a ghost belt. You know, like on Mario Kart, when you try and beat your ghost.
Yeah.
As soon as that went round Esparza's waist, Joanna's, she stole a little bit of Esparza for a while. I mean, she's had a few good fights since, but at the time, I think it was it really fucking shook her up.
Yeah.
I mean,
you could see how terrified she was when she was getting backed up, and every single effort that she made, she was getting punished for.
Yeah.
Beautiful performance that was. But that's like, I've got that script written up, so I'm going to record that once we're done today and get that out. It's been interesting. And then we've got to figure out what division we're doing next, because a lot of the other divisions, we're going to have to divide them into 2 shows because there's so much. So I think what we'll do is, and I've been chatting with the Raptors about it, I think what we're going to do is will divide at 2010, because there are a lot of divisions that started around the millennium.
Yeah.
Good 10 years of history that we can cover, and then the part 2 of the show can be.
So you're starting at 2010, or you're starting at 93?
Starting at the beginning of the division. The reason the strawweight one's going to be all in one show is because obviously it's a shorter division, but it's a cool. I mean, it's a cool story, man. We went through it. Jamie put together this wicked video piece to kind of help me get my thoughts together on it, and now I've done that. Now I've watched that through, and I've got the script and picked out sort of 10 really important points throughout the history of the division. It's a fascinating story, and like we're kind of right in the middle of it now because the story's still open.
Yeah,
we've just had that amazing fight between Joanna and Wei Li, and we've got 2 contenders that were former champions that are potentially coming back into the mix, as well as the likes of Suarez and stuff. So,
well, to think as well for how long that Dana said he didn't want women to fight, or he wasn't interested in women fighting. I fucking love that narrative. And I know, obviously, a lot of it was down to like Paige, fucking Ronda and Misha. But imagine not having women's fights now. Like, it'd be a travesty because the amount of times you watch it and it will save a card. Like, I can't even remember. It's in my notes somewhere. But I saw a fight, and it was literally the one that won the whole fucking night for me because you know what it's like. I don't want to gush about this card too much that we then jinx it by ending up with a shit card where everyone's just stared at each other because they're scared about like getting too close. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Can you imagine that?
You've got a cage fight, but you've got to stay 2 meters apart from each other. It's like, no worries. Like, it's just fucking.
And that goes for the referee as well.
Man, there you go. I want guest referees, but in like a full hazmat suit, or like the the Juggernaut suit that you get on Call of Duty. Not with a chain gun, but just a big dude, just absolutely fucking locked down.
Yeah,